Charlas de la noche. Palabras con imagen. El análisis de los acontecimientos que influyen en nuestra vida con el periodista Francisco Durán Rosillo.
Durán Rosillo te saluda y los saluda a todos ustedes, su amiga María Celeste Raraz, para invitarlos a que se suscriban a mi canal de YouTube María Celeste Raraz, tal como mi nombre, donde les informo todas las semanas sobre entrevistas que tienen un tema que ayuda a mejorarnos como personas y de paso son interesantes. Las pueden encontrar en mi canal de YouTube, así que los espero. Y se suscriben gratis.
President Biden is waiting too long to take care of the front yard of the USA. On the last Cinco de Mayo celebration in the Rose Garden of the White House, the American president invited the wife of the Mexican president, Beatriz Gutierrez Müller, to become part of the events that they were doing to resume better the recognition to the Hispanic community, the Latino community. Remember that Donald Trump stopped those celebrations due his, I save the word because the Hispanic community do not deserve that. Hispanic community, we are taxpayers, we are hardworking people, and it's time to talk loud. President Biden, on that message, told to the people led by Beatriz Gutierrez Müller, many Latino leaders, Mexican-American leaders, congressmen, etc. He was telling that Mexico is not the backyard of the United States anymore. Mexico is now the front yard of the United States of America. What makes us feel very privileged that an American president say such thing about the next door neighbor country. But we don't like in a nice speech, Mr. Biden. We need action. America is losing the front yard. America is giving up in the fight with the drug cartels. America is allowing China to use Mexico as a warehouse and distribution center for the opioids and fentanyls that cartels brought illegally to the American soil and are killing every day thousands of kids and young Americans. President Biden, I know you don't have time to pay attention to my words, but I am deeply concerned. I am deeply worried. I was investigative reporter in Mexico for a long time. I saw the growth of the drug cartels. I saw the partnership of the drug cartels with some Mexican politicians who are giving on the last administration or the current administration of Andrés Manuel López Obrador all the freedom to do whatever they want to do. They, in October of couple years ago, Mexican army supposed to detain the son of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, who is already in a maximum security jail in Colorado. Unfortunately, the American authorities are not doing enough. Why? Because that day that the Mexican army, in agreement with the DEA, detained Ovidio Guzman to extradite him to the American soil. Well, Mexican president was the one who says, no, cancel that detention. I give the order as supreme commander of the armed forces. And the operation was stopped. Obviously, the Sinaloa cartel is one of the most powerful cartels in the world. They have hundreds of trucks, armored trucks equipped with the caliber 50 machine guns, and they were attacking the army and attacking the population. But since that happened almost 3 years ago, El Culiacanazo, that's the nickname of that operation, United States has his hands tied with the Mexican administration. Why? Because the Mexican government delayed for months the new visas for the 34 new DEA agents assigned in Mexico. After that, the Mexican government closed the hangar in the Mexico City airport the DEA has for recognition flights about situations in parts of Mexico where the conflicts are growing. As you are going to see on the following videos, Mexico is out of control. I highly recommend and advise to the audience that understand why I am airing, and I have hundreds of these videos. I don't like to air everything because Mexican drug cartels use on their PR campaigns, they use these videos to intimidate authorities, to intimidate the population, and to trash the Mexican-American agreements like the Acuerdo Mérida that becomes Acuerdo Centenario is not working. Mexican government does not cooperate anymore with the American government on the agreements to exchange criminals or share information about investigations. That doesn't exist anymore. And the problem is, if the United States of America lose the front yard, it is going to be a land that strategically China and Vladimir Putin, are approaching to use this territory and these people to attack United States of America. In my broadcast in Spanish, I was advising that in Nicaragua there is a Russian building with Russian military officers training snipers, spies, mercenaries to come to attack America. Biden doesn't work enough to follow this situation, and many people is concerned. You saw in the caravans, the government caught 3 terrorists that were already in the Texas territory, ready to go and kill the former President George W. Bush. And as that is happening, many situations are already out of proportion in regard of the border safety. Caravans are not stopped. Migrants, I don't have anything against migrants. I am migrant, but I sponsor a regulated immigration. But Alejandro Mayorkas, Director of Homeland Security, released people from the jails, and the Governor Greg Abbott and the Governor of Arizona are taking these migrants released from jails and putting buses to send to the sanctuary cities of Chicago, New York, Washington. Why? Because they like to show this as a protest, to prove that the out of control immigration is bad for security, is bad to control the budgets on states and cities where migrants are. And for example, the mayor of Washington, D.C. already says, I'm going to ask help to FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, to hold the thousands and thousands of migrants that were arriving in the last 2.5 months to the Washington District of Columbia. And the same situation is happening in Illinois, in New York, in many places. Ron DeSantis is sending airplanes with migrants to the place where President Biden has his rest, his home for rest, or to take vacations and enjoy quality time with his family. It's hard. I'm not criticizing President Biden. I know his hands are full just with the invasion in Ukraine just with the situation that he cannot exchange and free an American basketball player and several Americans detained in Russia, and many situations about the inflation taking other course, and gas prices finally are a little bit under control, but that situation is a temporary fix. So if United States of America lost control of the front yard and the main door of this country, the current administration is jeopardizing the national security, and America could have a big headache. And nobody likes to understand in the current administration that the enemy is already in American soil, in American border states. I agree completely with the Texan governor, Greg Abbott, who declares Mexican drug cartels as terrorist organizations. So, the current videos and information you are going to see after this explanation is enough evidence to the American people stop and do an introspection about what I'm talking, because it is a very serious conflict. It can be worse than Pearl Harbor. It can be worse than other international conflicts. Why? Because drug cartels, they are not using machine guns and bombs to kill American people. They are using their powerful drugs, illegal drugs, that are creating addiction in the young Americans, are creating trouble in families, and every day you see, every day when you awake in the morning and turn on the TV to watch the traffic and weather report with Ella Dorsey and Rodney, come on. You see news about crime, and that crime is not product of the new law to give freedom to people in Georgia to use guns freely. No, in big part, all that crime is committed by people who consume drugs and is poisoned by the effects on their brain, and they kill people. President Biden, your policies against drug cartels are fruitless. Alejandro Mayorkas, when he was assigned by the Vice President Kamala Harris to take care of the border, start very enthusiastic, and after 2 or 3 press declarations, he completely lost the control. He started very well doing intelligence operations, catching cartels. And after that, I don't see real results in the fight of drugs, illegal drugs. And unfortunately, I see more drugs in the streets of the United States of America. And somebody is responsible for that. Many Americans turn around and they say, well, the problem is not in my house. Who cares? No, everybody has to care, because drug cartels are putting that pills in a drink of young ladies in the bars, in the restaurants, and they are killing young Americans. Fathers, mothers, grandparents advise their kids, because this is a silent war that is beginning, and seems that the Biden administration don't have a solid policy to attack these criminals, and the attack on America, poisoning young people with these drugs, is an endless attack. Let's stop it right away. Law enforcement people, I know how hard you work. I have friends on the law enforcement, a lot of friends, and they tell me, Francisco, it's hard. So it is not the right time to defund police departments. It is not the right time to reduce budgets. No. It is the time to enhance American spirit, and every parent, every adult become an agent that report those criminals, so police can put them in jail right away. And I was listening after Governor Greg Abbott declared Mexican drug cartels as a terrorist organizations. I heard that they like to make an amendment on the Texas law to don't waste money in a trial. If a person is caught with drugs, selling drugs, giving drugs, transporting drugs, death penalty. And that is the right thing, and is what America has to do right away. Thank you so much. Please watch these videos, because it's the only way you are going to understand me. Many towns in America and their population are already kidnapped by the criminals of these drug cartels. And President López Obrador and his administration are doing nothing. They don't care that cartels are bringing drugs to America. They protect these criminals. And President Biden, if the death of young Americans with opioids and fentanyls is growing, you must put in jail Andrés Manuel López Obrador, like President Bush's father did with Manuel Noriega. Thank you, and watch these videos. They are terrorizing Mexico, terrorizing the world.
Entonces, ¿no veniste? Mira, pinches perros de mierda. Jamás se vinieron, putitos. ¡Saluda a la cámara, perro! ¡Saluda a la cámara! Dile hola, guapo.
¿Cómo están? ¿Se encuentran bien? ¿Se encuentran bien? Ay, gracias a Dios. Gracias a Dios.
Vamos por aquel lado del tráiler, ¿no? Véngase para acá. No, no pasa nada.
Ya estuvo. Vámonos. Ya, el mafiosote ese.
Frank Durán Rosillo te saluda y los saluda a todos ustedes, su amiga María Celeste Raraz, para invitarlos a que se suscriban a mi canal de YouTube, María Celeste Raraz, tal como mi nombre, donde les informo todas las semanas sobre entrevistas que tienen un tema que ayuda a mejorarnos como personas y de paso son interesantes. Las pueden encontrar en mi canal de YouTube, así que los espero. Y se suscriben gratis.
Escuchaste el análisis de la noticia, transparente como el agua, con el periodista Francisco Durán Rosillo.